Guys, welcome to India today. I watched Stolen at Mami, and I was just telling Karan that back in the day, anybody who watched Stolen at Mami was on WhatsApp, was on calls, was calling up people, telling friends that you need to watch this film. When we will watch this film, how we will watch this film, whether it's on a Reddit, on a sub, on a torrent, on any other platform, we don't know. We are not promoting torrents, obviously. But there was this whole curiosity of we want to watch Stolen, right? I want to ask you, is there a film that all of you watched at some point in your life that you picked up the phone on and called your besties or anybody you met and be like, भाई तेरे को ये फिल्म देखनी पड़ेगी पता नहीं कैसे but you get and watch this film. Could be anything. I like Anurag has already got the answer in his head. He's nodding his head.
नहीं मैं बहुत बार करता मैं तो करते रहता हूँ.
Is there a title that perhaps you guys
have? For me,
have?
it was Ship of Theseus. When I saw it, I was very, very excited and I was like, I want to get this film out. That time, I think there was no WhatsApp.
I don't know.
उस time पे हाँ, but सबको बताई हमने. I really told people and then tried to do what I could. Yeah. But Stolen is one of those.
Yes.
We all independently watched it and we all loved it so much that we wanted to come on board. We literally forced them to come on board and say like, "Bhai, हम लोग करेंगे. We want to do something." You know. Like
but
that.
Vikram, word of mouth, I think, is the best and the biggest way of sort of when you speak to a human being in front of you, and you get to see that how emotionally charged you are when you are talking about a performance or a film. Nothing beats that, right?
Yeah.
What was your reaction when you watched Stolen for the first time, or perhaps you read any material related to Stolen?
I saw it here in Lightbox. Nikhil called me for a screening. He says, "Come and watch this film called Stolen. Heard it's very good." Literally one of those like small things. And Ms. Nikhil, I'm like, "Chalo, aa jata hu." I saw it. I was blown away. He was blown away. I don't think I met Katie. You weren't there that.
No, we met that day.
We met that day.
Yeah.
I was just so blown away anyway. And I loved it kind of like unabashedly. You know, it's like it hits that beautiful sweet spot of it being like it's relevant. It's saying so many things. It's also fun. Great performances, great technique, all those kind of things. And you watch it and you're sort of like going home, and of course the first person go home to my wife, tell Ishika, like, my God, what a great film. And then every time after that, when one met Gaurav or Abhishek in between, he says, "Kya ho kya raha hai Stolen? Arey kuch nahi ho raha." So you keep, and then in between I've realized, oh, he's seen it. I spoke to Kiran, she's seen it. And then eventually, I think that all of our passion for the film is our love for the film and wanting it to get out there brings us all together to say, yeah, let's just. It's been a year and a half, man.
And Anurag has put out a cute review on Letterboxd for Stolen, which I think
you have?
is
Yeah.
so
Long
endearing.
Long ago.
That shows up. Yeah, it's very short and crisp, but it's to the point and it's very endearing to sort of say that. He said what he had to say, and that sort of was doing the rounds with the screenshots and just talking about the film. Nikhil, when you watch Stolen, there are so many emotions that you go through, right? One is that you keep your phone away. Like that's what happened with me. I just put it on D&D and I had to sort of trail through.
You don't think of it.
Yeah.
You don't think of it. You don't need to put on D&D. You don't think of it.
You don't think of it, and more so, you are grappling with what you're feeling yourself. There's anger, there's rage, and it's also entertaining in parts. There's this underlying dark humor in some places.
No,
then
emotions
it just
keep changing.
it throws up at
I'm
the
saying
most oddest of places.
pictures, for me, it's like film shuru hoti hai. I am like, Shubham is such a good guy, the brother is such an asshole, then the girl is invisible, then suddenly कहानी कहाँ चली जाती है, फिर कहीं कुछ और जाता है. हर character is constantly unraveling and revealing itself. So your emotions within you is going through a lot of change, and by the time तुम कितने judgmental है यार, देखो face value पे judge कर रहे हो, and then it also plays with you.
Nikhil, is there a point in time, just as a filmmaker, because you watch so much films and you read a lot as well, right? That you wanted to champion perhaps a film like this? I feel is a film that needs to be championed. Like you need to tell people to go watch Stolen, and I think the bunch of people sitting in front of me are the perfect ambassadors and us to tell people to go watch Stolen. Do you feel sometimes there are lost causes? That there is a platform like this where this conversation is happening, and then there are some lost causes in all of our lives where perhaps we didn't get this chance to champion a film.
Absolutely.
And then how does one deal with it?
I have the good fortune of being part of G5A, which is where we showed cinema one. I mean, Anurag has called me up once to see. We showed Jeeni Bini Chadariya, which was like nobody's seen it. It's an incredible film.
It's a great
film. Unfortunately, nobody will get to see it. That other film, which this one was in, what is it? Shoebox.
Shoebox.
You know,
What a
Faraz's
great
film.
film.
You know, they are such wonderful films, and so we watch it.
Lots of
and-
very good
Yeah.
films.
There's an audience of 100 people, 150 people come watch. They're engaged. They're talking to the makers and they're talking to the actors. So yeah, there's so many films. There's so many films, and that's the reason when collectively we all felt कि listen, we all felt we had the same emotion when we watched Stolen, right? And we said कि यार इसको किसी भी तरह से, why is it not out as yet? Like you just said, you know, I mean, I think we watched it before Mami, right?
Yeah.
We
Yes,
watched it
just
before
before
Mami,
Mami.
goes to Mami. In Mami, it takes off. Why is it not out as yet, right? And what is happening? What is this thing? So then I think it was one phone call to each person and saying, okay, listen, this is all that is required. We need to do this. Let's put a collective might behind it and put it out. You know? Yeah.
That's really great. But Abhishek, when I watch you in the film, right, and I mean, I don't want to give any spoilers. I want people to really feel that, especially as the film comes to its end and towards the second half. What was going through your mind? Because you get that whole attention with the commercial success, and then this whole media plays up Stree, and it's great, and we say that, oh, he's such a versatile actor, and that happens a lot. There is this short span of attention perhaps that an actor gets, and then the bus sails and you go on to the next one, right? But then how do you process it? Like for me, Stolen, I think, is a performance that I don't know if anybody will ever be able to surpass in terms of scale, in terms of what you make people feel. How have you processed the character you played in Stolen?
Just that is like that line, na, that mujhe kya. I think that is something which completely propelled the entire character. And I have been in situations like that. You've been reading stuff about, somebody getting killed because they are trying to stop an Eve teasing episode. Bombay में बहुत बड़ा famous case हुआ था, two Catholic boys. You read something like, I'm from Delhi. There are like so many stories there, and of course otherwise constantly पढ़ते रहते. And every time you read it and you think that you come from that higher moral ground and armchair revolution where you're like writing about it on social media platforms or but what are you actually doing in groundwork में कर क्या रहे हैं? And अगर वो situation आती है, arrive होती है, क्या will we be able to pull off that kind of courage? So those questions were constantly I think they were being asked while we were shooting the film also. I think the first time they came to me with the story, the first thing I asked is, why is he still helping? Because it was a friend. They were both were friends, and I was like, "कैसे यार दोस्त को गोली लग गई है? No, why is he like not trying to run away?" And we need to find very strong reason for him to actually rise in the end. And the fall was so hard that there was no other option but to rise. So during the process, like, we actually constantly I unraveled each layer of that character. Now that I see it,
were you also shooting something else during this, or were you focused?
I think the next film I was shooting was with him after Stolen. So during his film, I think I went to Venice. तो बीच में एक schedule gap मिला था, उसमें Venice में जाके film देखा के वापस आया. Venice में जाके couple.
But one thing about the processing, I'm sure you remember, there's a scene in the film, The Lynching, which when we shot that, he was so shook up. He actually
shows in the
we go
performance.
to a side and he tells me that I can imagine what those people must have gone through. Do you remember this?
Yeah, he told
I don't know
me
if you
as well.
remember, but he genuinely, you shoot and you switch off. That's how it is. But that moment was, I could really tell where the character is, and the actor, the person, and the character is sort of aligned, and
But
maybe there's some processing happened.
that is what his performance in that
It does,
sequence
absolutely.
does to me as an audience also.
It's genuine.
So it's
really
exactly what he says. He told you
मैं
his
आपको
feeling.
बता रहा हूँ,
The performance makes me
ये
feel in that scene.
गिर के मार खा के
खा
they were
के
scratching him. He was falling on the ground, genuine falling.
दिख रहा है अभी
They smacked him
I
with that
thought that's
thing.
why-
Really,
that was a
makes
real
sense.
they smacked
Yeah,
him with that
they forgot to
thing.
replace it.
It hurt him for
The
a
art
long
department
time after.
forgot to replace
The last
it.
one, the one that we used the take.
They forgot to replace it. So it
They
was like
smacked him problem with
your
that.
pain.
Those
So the
guys
blood
running
and the
after you
scratches
guys
and
were
the-
all
No, that's
stuck
not
there.
real.
Yeah,
The blood and
but-
scratches
No,
is
no,
fake.
no, not
But
all.
he's
Not
I
all.
get so scared, right? I mean, when I'm watching it, also I also thought
It's
that
a
because you
scary
can't.
It's
scene.
very real, you know.
कोई गाड़ी के
It
सामने
is-
आ जाएगा, कोई
And I had to
गलती से
manage
यार
that.
मतलब it's
Even
like,
while
what the
reversing
hell
it.
is happening?
It is.
Piche.
No, I think the camera work also is so brilliant,
Yes,
and
Ishan is
props to the
amazing.
cinematographer who's done this, because you feel like you're there. Like the terrain keeps changing, right? You go from a platform, you go to the mountains, you go to a village, you go to the interior of a room, and you feel like you're there. It could be a daytime. So I just feel like it's an experience that you need to have. It's not something that you can perhaps describe. It's only after you watch the film, it's open for discussion. But Kiran, talk to me about what's exciting about promoting a film like Stolen, because it's such a great time again, just for avid film buffs. Like, we need to sort of have films at a time when everybody's having these conversations about we don't have. But if you have something, then go watch it. Like don't you just feel a bit annoyed that okay, you have a film? Like I was talking to somebody about Super Boys of Malegaon the other day, and this whole conversation and he said ki nahi maine nahi dekhi. I said, you haven't watched it. We were having a debate about something, and I said, you haven't watched the film, then what are you even saying? You have an option of going and watching it. Then you come and say that, oh, there's a reason why this and that. What is your take on all of this noise, maybe conversation, that if there's something, go what support? Theatrical, non-theatrical, doesn't matter.
I mean, I think, especially in where we are now, there's always noise about everything, and we are assailed with opinions on every platform, and it's really, it can really get to you every day, whether it's social media or just the headlines or just what's going on in your WhatsApp groups. It can be overall overwhelming, where we are, which is why when this sort of came to us and we all independently felt like, look, this is a great film and we want to support it, we've just realized after doing something very simple, which is like sort of coming together and saying, look, we can put our names and our little goodwill behind a film and get it out there. It breaks clutter very easily almost. And perhaps that's what we need to do, is like not feel so alone and assailed, and just feel a lot more like we need to take things in our hands, build bridges where we can, do what we can. And I think that negativity will always be there, the obstacles will always be there.
Yes.
But I think this film has given us all a sense of real hope and pride that
Kind of
we can
optimism,
make
yeah.
these things happen, and it isn't so difficult. Really, we can change.
Yeah, look at you guys. I mean,
We
this
can
is-
change the ecosystem just by the way we collaborate and we think. And I think
I
for us
actually-
as filmmakers, it's really
think
essential, because
this
you
is-
can be weighed down and be feeling negative all the time. There's never a utopian, perfect ecosystem to support you.
I really I'm very positive about what's happening, and I want to wait and see how audience reacts to it, because I always believe that they kind of form trust over a period of time,
Yeah.
and their whole reaction, I think, is going to empower us
Yeah,
to
I
maybe
think
do it again for another film that one likes and we share with each other, because ये तो कर ही रहा है G5A में screening. He's finding out new films and puts it out there, and it's like it's also his and Motwane's initiative got us all together. So which one I'm saying, it is something very good, and I'm glad this has happened, because this suddenly is putting 10,000 things in my head. I want to show 3 of them more films and say ये करेगा वो करेगा. I'm saying it's really good, but at the same time you can't force people, like what you're saying.
it's a time, I
Yeah.
think, for community. It's a time for us
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
start feeling like we are a community. Why? I mean, we constantly talking about things that don't work, but things that we can do together, we should just do. I mean, this is.
I have to constantly
this is
been
as much
complaining. So
I think in the positions we all are all really privileged to be making films at all of us sitting here. So
Yeah.
let's try and use that privilege.
So what is also interesting is, I remember I met Vikram a while ago during Jubilee, and I was talking to him about the love that Lutere gets every time there's a conversation in a room about that film. And it's so nice when everybody's like, "Arey, that scene of the leaf falling, or the songs, or the background music, or Sonakshi's best performance ever. She's never going to be able to top it all." And I'm like, when you have something coming out in that moment, let's celebrate that and talk about it. It's sometimes so reticent to, oh, let's go to throwback and see that this and that. Vikram, what are your thoughts about that? Because you're somebody who's constantly putting things out. You're on the lookout. Your approach to put things together. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I know, it does a little bit, like it hurts, especially when it comes to something like Lutera or Bhagesh. It hurts when people are like, यार क्या picture बनाया, सत्या तब तो देख लेते, तब बोल देते, मतलब अब जाके क्या फायदा? But you also
You'll
understand
get over
that,
it.
huh?
You'll get over
I
it.
know. I get over it very quickly. I also understand the fact that it's
My whole career is based
but
on
this kind of like gets me to like what defines success. Success
Yeah.
is not the weekend, yeah. It's a lifetime. It's a lifetime of
Yeah.
film. If your film is still relevant 5, 10, 15 years later, that is, for me, in the victory. Oh, that's what I tell myself.
Yeah, no, but this is what it is. See, मैं तो like entire career is based on piracy or delayed discovery, or like. But for me, what is rewarding is my daughter. One day she's Kennedy, and she's 20. She's not married. She'll be 25 now, and she said, "Papa, I love this film. It's your best film." Then she discussed Black Friday. Papa, at the age of 24. What a film! When did you make it? Is it 2 years old? So I'm saying, agar 22 years later my daughter gets surprised by a film that her father made 22 years ago.
When she can't
उससे बड़ा
remember
reward
what-
क्या है यार?
when she cannot remember what film actually released this Friday.
Yeah.
Right?
And she doesn't remember, and she like literally.
Testimony, right?
That's a great
For me, it's like-
thing to have.
It's fantastic. Like for me, it's like, यार हो गया सब.
Okay, this is a interesting sort of a question. It's something that gets me excited when I see people who make films, read films, write films, talk about films. If Kiran, Nikhil, Anurag, and Vikram, if you could get a chance to be on each other's set on a film, just to sort of see and pick each other's brain, what film would you choose? Like in a hypothetical universe, just sort of feel that.
Amongst what we have made.
Yeah, like amongst each other. Like what film of Vikram's or Anurag's would you love to be on a set of?
I would love to be on Vikram's film Lutera, considering I was going to produce it and then I didn't produce it.
Wow.
So yeah, I would have loved to be, because it was
I thought everybody's first
unfortunate.
I think Udaan.
हाँ.
I would have loved to be
Yeah,
on
for
Udaan.
sure.
Yeah. Small town
All
India.
first films.
These
Goosebumps.
characters that are so like unusual. This relationship between two people.
I've only heard
I would have
stories,
loved
even
to
though I
be
produced
a
Udaan.
bystander. You were, of course,
No,
there.
I produced it, but I never was on the set.
You never came on
set.
I never
He was
go
the
on the set.
anti-Gaurav Dhingra. He never came on set.
I am a producer who does not go on the set of any of the films I produce. I don't.
I would love to be on Black. You know what? Where I love to be on your set is the one. Is not this film. The Govinda car scene at the airport in Salame Ishq is for me
In
one of the
in
most
Hyderabad.
genius scenes I have seen in cinema. And how you
मैं
shot
तो कुछ
that.
मैं
with,
तो I
like-
want to literally.
He's my
I would
favorite-
have been
he's
wanted
my
to be on
favorite
set of
actor.
Kal Ho Na Ho because for me, before
But
Kal Ho
that
Na Ho, I
scene
knew
was
different
shot
Nikhil
right.
Advani.
कमाल है,
Ah.
कमाल का actor
Nikhil,
है
did you
वो.
hear what he
Govinda
just
hai.
said? He would love to be on the set of Kal Ho Na Ho because
Yeah, he's
Because
been
because
saying
it
that-
is
he's been
because
saying
it
that
is
for the
because
last
you know
2
I
days.
knew a different Nikhil Advani, and मेरे को literally I was sure Nikhil Advani cannot pull off Kal Ho Na Ho. He's somebody from a different school doing a film because he's just getting a chance and he
Yeah.
won't be able to pull it off. And he made what a fantastic film. So for me, it's like I would want to see the first Nikhil Advani. How was he doing? Things.
like back in the day, the initial
Back then.
baby
No, but
step-
Actually, the same thing.
technically he's outstanding. That's something that Govinda scene is your mixture
Yeah.
of performance and technique in that scene of that dhol coming and that right
No,
moment.
but understand what Vikram said, no butter, technically.
सलामिश तो मैंने बहुत because सलामिश आरती ने एडिट किया था ना
Huh?
सलामिश आरती ने एडिट किया था ना
Yeah.
तो उसका तो मैंने बहुत स्टेजेस पे एलिमेंट देखे हैं
The reason I ask this is simply because I think we are all here for the love of cinema, and there's a reason why the medium needs to sort of.
Just me, but you could ask all of us, we would have loved to be on the set of Stolen.
yeah actually
That's actually true.
Actually,
Wow.
I mean,
Actually.
I cannot believe some
But
stuff.
did you guys get? No, obviously not. I mean,
No,
none
no,
of-
we saw
No,
Yeah,
it's like
correct.
it's-
I know what
think
you mean. Yeah, of course not.
this is incredible one of the finest flawless first film जहाँ पे मेरे को कोई नोट नहीं था
Yeah, a first film. I mean, coming back to that is again those WhatsApp conversations that happened during Mami also kept going back to the fact that it doesn't look like, and then they were like, it does look like somebody who's made a
it doesn't
first
feel
film
like a
first.
first film
But how do you sort of undo the impressions that are there on you when you watch films? Or like, does one? I don't get it. You just always absorb things, right, from what
Yeah.
you've seen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Did anything stay during Stolen from maybe what you watched as a child?
Of
growing
course,
up?
of
Oh.
course. Everything that I watch is informed what Stolen is. I mean, in fact, very close to when I made Stolen, I had seen Victoria, which I was highly inspired by. I saw Good Time, which has
Oh
that
my God, such a
frenetic,
great-
frantic pace, and then Son of Saul, which creates that highly high immersion. I mean, it's the most immersive film I'd seen recently in those times, you know, and even other stuff over the years that I have seen. I mean, that I think it's impossible. Or stuff that I've read, or you know, so much of that. Like, I mean, it's all. How else will we all make films? It's just because of whatever experiences of life that we have, that we make the films that we make.
Yeah. The set, I mean, days on set must have been just incredible, right? Just the fact that you get to be a part of,
It's so fun. It was so fun.
you
Yeah,
get to
yeah,
say
all
these
the-
lines and you get to be part of these scenes.
We were playing. हम तो मजे कर रहे थे. That's what it was.
But
like,
I think that shows in the
yeah,
film that
we were having fun.
I'm saying if the filmmaker is having fun, no, there's a good film being made. If a filmmaker has stress, then there's a problem.
Yeah. So where do you guys go with Stolen now? It's great. It's going to come out. We are going to watch it. Open for collaborations. You must. I think it's a great. It's sort of putting your step through the door and then breaking the door at some point in time, right? Because you all sort of organically seem to come on the same table, and you will have differences at some point. Over let's do this. Over let's do that. Kiran is smiling. Are there? And how does one tread that?
No,
if at all?
so far not. But I'm sure we will, and it's not a hard and fast. You know, different films appeal to different people.
Yeah.
Stolen is a rare film like that. I think there's literally, I doubt there's anybody who's come out of it been like meh. You know, it's a film that
You
will
met somebody
tick
who didn't like
most 99% of people's boxes, but the rest of us, each of us has our sort of preferred genres, things that we like watching, films that would appeal to us over other films. So. Yeah, but
I think going forward, this stuff is going to happen even more because there is so much that, and now you need more curation than before. And the moment, like the four of them or the two of them, or you know, whatever it is, a single voice, even sometimes, when they back something, it's just curating it for an audience.
Yeah.
You know, and I think you need that more now than before. I don't think, like sir was saying, that I hope aage zarurat nahi ho agle Stolen ko. It's not going to be. It's going to be needed even more. You know, and I think that they set examples for others also, honestly, and you know that why not? I mean, you know, it's sort of a giving back, because what is cinema is about people and everyone interacting with each other and forming, you know, bonds to make this sort of thing come together. As a painter नहीं है घर पे बैठ के बना रहा है लिख रहा है जो भी, you know. So I personally think this is going to happen more because it's too much out there for audiences to focus any longer.
Yeah. Gaurav, we were talking about producers and how producers, not all producers are on set, not on set, it depends, you know, this. But it's a great film to have on your CV. I mean, how exciting is that to sort of have your name with a film like Stolen?
Yeah, no, of course, it's an honor to have a film like this. And I'm very, very proud of what we've done. And I hope in future we get to do more stuff like this. But it has been very, very rewarding and very, very tough. Mentally and physically and financially, it's been quite a tough ride because we decided on first day that we don't need external money, and till now there's not 1 rupee that has come from anywhere else. So it has been a pressure, but it has been something that I know that could reward us in a big way in the future. So I want to do more of this, like 10 more.
So is that part of the learning? Is that part of the learning that
Yeah,
this is something? It's a model that we are trying, and it's.
I mean, each film has its own. No child can be brought up the same way, you know, even by the same parent. So I think every film is going to be a different course. Somebody will be an engineer, somebody will be a painter, and you got to craft it as per the need of that film and the focus and the market, and your vision will come through that, you know. So there is no set rule. Of course, the voices that we have on this panel and Amazon, you know, who's really, really, really backed us. I think you need this kind of support to make these films and get them out to a global audience. That's what, again, something that we aligned on first day, that we wanted on a global platform, reaching the entire world, which is what Amazon is doing for us. So
Right.
if there is infrastructure and I think there is a need for a lot of people to come together, because not only in India, I think the whole system of entertainment or film or, you know, is crashing. It's disintegrating in many ways. And I mean, if you look at LA, there are like 50% of the people are out of jobs at the moment in LA. And
cinemas are shutting down across the world.
yeah, I mean,
except China.
cinemas are shutting down.
Except
People
China
who
and
are
Japan,
working,
everywhere cinemas are shutting down.
people are out of jobs, writers, editors, you name it. People are not getting the kind of work they were
Writers,
getting
producers,
5 years
editors.
ago.
For the first time in Hollywood, there are complaints about people not being paid for having worked on a film.
So this is
First
going to come to, I mean, in India, Amazon, I mean, they are American entities, Netflix or any other, big companies are, so it will have an effect on India, and there will be, as Katie said, a need for a lot of people to come together to make, a place where voices can be heard and great stuff can be made, and with authenticity, honesty. I think that's what's required. That's what's lacking: authenticity, honesty, integrity. These words.
Karan, I'm very curious to sort of know, after having watched the film, is there any bit that was very impromptu that you've kept in the film which was not there on paper? And are you somebody who sort of is okay with that? Because I know some people, like a lot of filmmakers, filmmakers stick to the T when it comes to what's on paper and what's happening in front of the camera.
Not
Did you let your
really.
actors sort of also?
It was a mix, I mean, there is a lot of it which was kind of fixed, and then within that fixed box, there was a lot of room for, experimenting or improvisation. So actually, it was not I mean, I'm not stuck up like that. I think that and also, it was my first time of experiencing this, but I've always heard it and read about it. Like, you make your film 3 times, you write it the first time, shoot it the second time, new film, third time you make it on the post, and I really experienced it. And I fully with an open heart and open mind, went into each phase, now re-looking at, trying to objectively re-look at the material and see where it can go. So when I wrote it, then when we went to shoot it, it is going to change, Actors are coming in, there's a live location, other forces are influencing you. So then you have to give into that, and sort of be kind of quick on your feet and, find quick solutions that, work within what basic principles you have. And for me, I had very few basic principles. They were very easy to remember. 2-3 चीजें मैंने सोच रखी थी. That's as long as my spine remained, I was quick to, sort of change things around. I had phenomenal actors who were willing to, shift things and came up with crazy ideas. So it was all welcome actually. And same then when we went to edit, the same thing happened there. I mean, we cut stuff here, we cut stuff there, and that's, I think, then finally it became what it became.
Abhishek, can you keep distance and watch the film and pick a scene perhaps that is your most favorite or was perhaps most tough to do on location or in the film?
The most of was Ajit, my first film, Realism. That was very tough. This was exciting because I think they kept throwing me into situations which I was not aware of. Every day they would be like, "यार यहाँ से गाड़ी लेके जाना है, ऑटो के बीच में से," and things like that. And you're just, as an actor, you're always thinking about, of course, dialogues and things like that. But I think I didn't have any time to think of my actions in a scene. So all of that was basically very organic while the take was happening and the actions were happening around. So that was very interesting that you don't have any time to think of anything. You just need to go and perform, be. So in that way, it was quite a fulfilling experience. They always, the whole truth, nikalo, real nikalo, realism, and that's been taught since theatre days. I think I come from a theatre group called Players where we constantly practicing about adapting stories, even the classics to the current social occurrence. So ये पहले से चल रहा था. So when I was collaborating with them, I just had fun. That was it.
Yeah, I think June 4th is the date. I mean, I've been talking about this since Mami, and I'm so excited that now everybody's going to be able to watch it and discuss and pick their favorite bits and say whatever the hell they want. On social media doesn't matter, but watch it. It's the most important thing right now. Thank you for making Stolen, and I hope we get to see you guys more often, if not together, maybe in bits and parts and pieces, but talking about your love for cinema. So thank you for this conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.